Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. This is Chris Williams. I am sitting in the driver's seat for Steve today, and my traveling companions I just absolutely adore, and they're so much fun to hang out with and be with, and I learned so much from them. One of them is Jim Burns.
Great to be with you today. This is a great day for me. I get to hang out with you and Sheri. This is a big deal.
Yes.
I mean, I like Steve. He's my good friend. But I like hanging out with you guys.
Thank you. And we get to hang out with Steve whenever, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
And Dr. Sheri Keffer.
Yeah, hey, good to be with you both. So I'm in the back seat, kind of waving in the rearview mirror, trying to be a little squirrely between you two in the front seat driving.
Okay, so a little bit. I'm going to open with a little bit heavier topic today. Okay, but I think it's important because in much of and I'll speak for myself, in much of my leadership training, especially in seminary and growing up in the Christian world, is all about how to most effectively impact people for Christ. But one of the most neglected areas is how to allow my soul to be impacted by Christ. And so what I didn't realize early on, but where life showed me, is that I had some real dark places inside of me, but they were terrifying and scary, and there was really hard things, and no one at that point in time showed me the way and the importance. So my question to you is, what is the importance of facing the dark spots inside of us, and what's the consequence if we don't?
Can you first give us an example of the dark spot?
One of the dark spots is I held a lot of fear and insecurity and shame, and it would act itself out in secret places of pornography. And that was just underlying all of that. And of course, I knew it was sinful behavior, and it was unsavory to myself and everything else, but I couldn't quite break it on my own. And when I say I couldn't come close to breaking it on my own, but I didn't have a place to face that dark spots and those dark spots inside of me. And it had consequences,
I was with one of our friends of New Life. His name is Henry Cloud, and we were talking about a mutual person we know well who had fallen. He was a well-known leader. And he said, I don't think he was in touch with his dark side. And when I said to Henry, I said, well, what do you mean facing the dark side? He would not be willing to deal with the pain of his dark side, so it crept in. Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with that? He said, no, you have to face the dark side, but you also have to face the light side too. And he talked about Jesus being the light. And what a lot of times we want to do is we want to ignore the dark. But actually, the Bible says we are all sinners.
Yes.
And we are saved by grace. Sometimes what we have to do, and I think we do this on a daily basis of confessing our sins and being aware of our sins, realizing that at any moment that sin could take us over.
Yes.
And, I've been a Christian for a long time now. I became a Christian in 1971. I'm very aware that I have a sin bent in my life.
Yeah.
And so I better face that and know what that is and have a fear for it.
Yes. Absolutely.
And you know what? It's interesting when you guys are talking about dark spots. I have one that's probably common. It's called control, right? And the more that I'm in control and believe that I have the right path, I could run over people. I'm just thinking about a situation that happened this weekend. We were driving back from the 4th of July, and, we're on the road, and my husband hit a piece of big piece of tire off a car. And, we drove up, dropped the car off, and they looked at it, and I thought, why didn't he put insurance on the car? And I'll leave it as a little cliffhanger, because I'll tell you what happened in the control department right when we get back.
You will hear right as we come back.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 15th through the 17th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Sheri was telling us a cliffhanger story, right? You're struggling with control.
I'm just talking about my dark side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Control. And so as soon as it happened, you go into smarty pants syndrome, and I'm there thinking, well, I sure hope he put, insurance on. You can add it for so many
'Cause it was a
a day.
rental car.
It's a rental car,
Yeah.
and we have insurance, but, you get to walk away. And my control, dark side, automatically wanted to go into interrogation mode, right? And I felt everything rise up in me, and then I was like, I got to work on this, because the opposite of control is basically realizing there's two of us here, and he's as bummed and stressed as I am. But I tethered myself. I could feel myself like reining in, girl. And he said, yeah, I didn't put insurance on here, but I know we have insurance. And I just, again, my control, I thought, chaos. That's chaos. If we would have just put it on there, we could have just been in peace. But, it's that control and that judgment that can take us into conflict in our relationships. And forget the fact that we're both here together struggling through this thing that we didn't know would happen and happened anyway. So I get that what you're saying about a dark side, Chris. I think they come out and they can get the best of us to bring out the worst in us.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think that it's so important that we have both a value for it, a value to say it's really important and essential that we face these, the sin, the dark spots of our heart and our lives, but also we need a process to be able to do that. We need a guide. That's where a good Christian therapist can come in and guide that process. A good pastor can provide that process. But I find it more and more and more that, because this is what I work with on a daily basis, is that Christian leaders who never had the opportunity, I'll say, to face their dark spots, end up in my office with a just horrific wake of destruction behind them. And so they're not just facing their dark spots, they're facing all of the things that it caused as well. But the benefit of that is what we're going for here at New Life, and that's freedom. That is God's best for you. And so if you're out there and you're like, I want to be used by God, that is a very, very noble, that's a very great thing. But I also want to say that the more important thing is I want God to transform me. And I want the opportunity to enter into some of those spots in my life that I wasn't able to see, that's hurting me, hurting others, or hurting my relationship with God. So with that, we're going to help people in life's hardest places. And we're going to go to June in Lancaster, Ohio. June, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, June, how can we help you
Can you hear
today?
me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay. How do I respond to my 41-year-old married son when he texts me and says that he's very stressed out, feeling defeated about smoking and drinking and associated anxiety? And I've read the book about relating to your adult children. He has the Life Recovery Bible, and he has Heart of a Hero. I'm not sure that he's read Heart of a Hero. But I don't want to be giving too much advice, although I did tell him that he might start with AA and get sort of a kickstart. But the therapy that he's recently received, he says it's practical advice and tools, but I think I need to try something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And his dad was an alcoholic for most of his life, all of his life, until about 8 years ago when my husband stopped drinking. But he did it on his own. And so you don't get the healing.
Yes, that's right. We call that
recovery that you would get.
We call that dry drunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you still have
that's
some
what
of the temper tantrums or depression or anxiety or some of the mood stuff that goes along with drinking, but you don't get any. But you're just not drinking. You're not medicating it, basically.
Right. But now,
So
now
June,
it's been passed down to my son.
yeah. Can you help me understand a little bit? When you think back to your home, right, and you having a marriage with a husband who's an addict, it's hard, right? Really painful.
Yes.
It's a very lonely place. How was comfort installed in your home? How did you all act out comfort when things were going bad, when down days happened? What did you all do in that area?
I tried to make like everything was okay. I didn't speak out like I should have spoken out, because whenever I did, then he would come back at me that it was me, my problem. I'm the crazy one.
Right. And so part of the hard part is basically you enabled, right? We didn't speak out. And when you did, then things went bad. So it's kind of like we learn that hurts when we do that. When you think about comfort, was there comfort in your home, or because of the addiction, was comfort a hug, a word of affirmation, love, touches, was that not a part of your family because of the addiction?
I would say that it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
So this is the thing that I think your son, it's brilliant. Do you know what he just told you? There's a lot of practical advice and tools there, but I think I need something different. And you're saying, I'm really tempted to give him more practical advice and tools.
That's right.
But it just isn't soaking in. Your son, he feels to me like he needs a crock pot of love and acceptance, because he's had rules and lack of comfort and lack of care, and he's starving for it. It's like he's all that pain of not getting the comfort he needed, he's just numbing out. Yeah. He's trying not to feel his feelings, but he's got a lot of pain because he didn't get some of the things, I call them the traumas of omission. They were the good things we needed but didn't get. Not getting delighted in, not getting seen, heard, appreciated, loved, hugged, all that stuff. They're traumas, but they're like silent traumas, but deadly traumas. They're like 1,000 cuts of a knife. And I think that's part of what he's missing. And intuitively, why maybe a good AA group, when he's walking in the door and shaking hands with people and giving people their hugs, and as he gets more comfortable, like he's relating, he's looking for some of that affection that he's missed.
Yeah. June, what I love about this. Oh, go ahead. Good. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing that has spun his marriage of 4 years upside down was 5 months after they were married, and they had been going to church and everything. Her father died, and he owned a bar in this local college town, and he left it to my son's wife and her brother. And so this has brought up a major stumbling block for him, because his wife expects him to go in there and, be social with the patrons and whatever, and it's a very bad influence.
Yeah, and he's going to have to live his life. I don't drink because my father was an alcoholic. My grandfather on my mom's side died of cirrhosis of the liver. But I act like a recovering alcoholic because I don't have any idea if I'm an alcoholic, but I just choose not to drink and have the discipline. But I'll be honest with you, I've been with people recently at a dinner. Everybody was drinking but me. And you know what? I felt okay about it. And he'll have to eventually learn that. A couple things, though, on the adult-child thing, June. I think actually by him reaching out and telling you some of his fears, he's really treating you like a mentor. And that's what we do when our children are 18 and under. We're not, well, we are their mentor sort of, but we kind of have to give our adult children the passport to adulthood, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And you're not responsible for a 40-year-old's decisions here on this. Right. But the beauty is he's reaching out to you as a mentor. And so when Sheri said, in some ways what I heard Sheri say is, you have a chance as a mom to be that safe person for him. And sure, if he's asking for advice, give him advice. But sometimes unsolicited advice, I didn't hear you say that you're doing too much of that, is taken as criticism. So you don't want to be that non-safe person, but the safe person is somebody who can give more input. Well, honey, have you jumped into AA? Have you done this and that? And then, but leave it back. Don't be a one-topic parent. What we tend to do is when our kids are violating our values and they're struggling with an issue, we become the one-topic parent, whatever it is. And then we're just focused only on that. Well, your son has a lot of other interests and things like that. Make sure that you're that person in his life who just comes alongside of him and loves him. The Holy Spirit, one of the stories of the Holy Spirit, one of the job descriptions of the Holy Spirit is to come alongside. It's actually a term called paraclete. And so you're doing that in a beautiful way if you just are coming alongside of him and talking about even some of the other things that may not be as important to you, but you are that safe person so that when and if he crashes, then he's going to come to you. So you want to keep that dialogue open, but sometimes we get the dialogue open by not even only focusing on that one particular issue. But when he's reaching out to you, you say a hallelujah because he actually is saying, Mom, can I come to you as a mentor and give me some input? And if he doesn't read every book, everybody doesn't read every book. I don't read every book. If he doesn't read every book, if he doesn't, do everything, well, that still doesn't mean that he's not working on the inside of his life with some of these issues. Now, is he going to be a person who's going to be, fulfilled to the max with all of his smoking and drinking and, the complications of, the bar and all that? No. But you know what? He can get through this. And oftentimes it's one other adult, and if it's a mom, and oftentimes it is a mom, to be honest, who is irrationally positive about them, even with some of those other issues. Now, again, you got to bring up stuff, but make sure that you're that person that Sheri talked about, that you're that safe person for him. That doesn't mean you don't talk when he brings it up, but it just means you're that safe person who shows an incredible amount of comfort and love. And I have a feeling you're doing some of that, and that's why he's reaching out to you.
Yeah.
And June, I'm gonna raise the red flag a little bit higher. Okay, he's reaching out to you. He's concerned about this. You have a family history of it. Where the genetic predisposition for addiction resides in us, especially in the brain, is long ways. It's 2,000 miles away from our rationality. So more information in and of itself is not good. He knows everything he needs to know right now about all of the dangers of alcohol and all of the consequences of alcoholism. So there's not going to be a magic bullet of information out there that's going to flip it. Now, I'm not saying God can't do that, because God can. But there is so many things that he needs right now that I think to work through all of this. I think he needs treatment. I think he needs to get into a facility, and I think he needs that 30 days away, minimum, to really look at and work through all of these things.
And Al-Anon would be a really great place for you to go, because Al-Anon is going to be that love, those hugs, those people in your area, treatment centers that people know about because they're going through this with their families. So I say today, as much as you want him to jump in, you jump in today and go to Al-Anon and start getting connected with people that care like you do.
And June, we're going to send you a copy of Understanding and Loving a Person with Drug Addiction and Alcoholism. Thank you so much for calling in today. We will be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. And I just want to read this testimony. Every Man's Battle is going on right now, and we have it every month. Coming up in August, it's actually going to be online, so there's no excuse to not accessing it. But we had a guy attend, and he said this was a powerful workshop. It brings new perspective to the causes and triggers for sexual addiction. During this workshop, I was able to learn to forgive my dad for his attempted suicide when I was 15 years old, and that changed my life from that point forward. I was also able to forgive my mother for her years and years of prescription drug addiction that led to her early death. And now I need to forgive myself and ask for forgiveness from my wife for all the pain and grief my addiction and behaviors have caused her. Thank you, New Life. It takes these moments, as we were talking about at the top of the hour, these places in our lives where we can face the difficult, painful, dark spots and experience the healing. And I know for a lot of us that can feel a long way off, or can feel like a fantasy rather than a reality. But we see here at New Life over and over and over is that it is a reality. But part of our reality is that it takes resources to do this. It takes partnerships that so many of you so graciously join with us. And as many of you have been hearing, we have this unbelievable match gift. So every dollar that you give right now is doubled. And this is a really, really important time in our ministry, in our world, and in what people are struggling with, that we continue to expand and open up more and more and more opportunities for people to get the healing that they so readily deserve. And so if you are considering joining with us, being part of God's work here on opening up these opportunities to face our darkness, that a lot of times I call it preemptive salvation, even though it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, a little bit of an oxymoron. But preemptive salvation is getting the healing and health and pathway we need before the destruction happens. But then there's obviously just the salvation we need on a continual basis. And maybe we've found ourselves in those destructive places. But all of us have been impacted, and all of us need solutions. So join with us. Any financial gift that you give in the month of July here, we are going to send you a water bottle, especially being here in the month of June, or July, I'm sorry. And then we have resources as well. But please consider right now joining us, giving a gift of any amount. But again, if you give a gift of $25, that's not $25, that's $50. So again, if you are contributing, think about a little bit more. If you haven't contributed, think about jumping in, because on this side of it, it's really, really, really fun to be a witness and get a front row seat to God's redemptive process.
Yeah. You know, Chris, I was telling some people at a New Life event last weekend that Kathy and I give for two reasons. One is because of life transformation, and I see so much life transformation, and other is leadership. And I think anything from Steve Arterburn to Larry, who visits quite regularly, now the new president, Dave Thornton, so many people, the leadership is great, and I trust the counselors. And so, I think when people give, they want to give to something that's going to really make a difference.
Yeah.
New Life is a place where that happens.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Absolutely. So I would say one other thing. Maybe you're a therapist, maybe you're a counselor out there, you're a Christian counselor, and you're like, hey, how do I also be a part of this? We have a nationwide network of therapists that we vet, that we kind of go through a process with, that sign up and contribute to our ministry here, that we can also then refer our clients to, or the people, prospective clients, people that need the help. So again, there's a bunch of different ways, but all of that information is at www.newlife.com, including our workshops. Let me tell you what's coming up here. We got a bunch coming up. So really quickly here, we have next weekend, Restore is July 15th through the 17th in Dallas. We have Intimacy in Marriage, and that is July 22nd through the 24th in Washington, D.C. And we have Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. That's going to be online. That's a one-day online, and that's August 13th, as well as the Emotional Freedom Workshop, and that's online August 20th. There's a lot coming up here, but I mention this because there is something for all of us. And so, and Jim, if you could give a blurb, what can we look forward to in the Courageous Parents Workshop?
Yeah. Well, Steve, myself, and Jill speak, and once we give content, I'll be talking on doing life with your adult children, and I'll be giving some principles. Unsolicited advice is taken as criticism. You can't want it more than they want it, right?
Yes.
When they violate values, what do you do when your kids violate values? And also, what are the positive steps to having a mentor relationship with your kids as adults?
Yeah.
Steve will be speaking into other issues. Jill will. It's a great conference. I love this courageous parenting thing.
Absolutely. One other question I have for you really quickly, Sheri. If we've been impacted, if I'm a woman who's been impacted by betrayal, what happens if I don't get recovery?
Nothing happens. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think so often it's in what we ask for. It's in looking at what we need. It's looking at how we're being hurt and what we need to invite that person into that's acting out. And it's kind of the worst case scenario when my eyes are closed and I'm not looking or wondering or open to the sexual acting out that's happening in our home. It usually gets worse. So you don't need to be there. Let us take care of you. Let us help to turn that crazy making in your home around.
We'll be right back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. July 22nd to the 24th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. So glad you're with us today, and I am so glad that Veronica is with us today. And so Veronica in Atlanta, Georgia, listening on our podcast, is with us. Veronica, how can we help you today?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I do have a question. I've been estranged from my adult daughter for about 6 months or so. And my question is, what should I do to recover this relationship with her?
Can you give us some details on like what led to the estrangement?
Okay, short story is when I have a son and a daughter, and when they were babies, their dad took them from me because I left him because he was a cheater and abusive. And so at that point, he told me that I would never see them again. So I didn't see them again. That was when my daughter was 2. I didn't see her again until she was 8, and that was after I did a whole lot of looking to try to locate where they are. And so in the interim, once she got to be a young adult, she's 43 now, but when she got to be a young adult, I adopted a daughter who was already in her 20s, and I think between those two things, being estranged for those years, and in the interim again, when I adopted my other adult daughter, I think there's some jealousy there, and I also think that maybe she's feeling like my adopted daughter is maybe taking her place, and so it's like whatever, nothing. In other words, no matter what I do seems to be right, and no matter how I own myself, try to listen to her side without responding, but she gets very disrespectful. She gets loud. She talks over me. And so it seems to be nothing I can do right now, at least, to repair this. It doesn't seem like she's willing, even though she said she's open to counseling with just her and myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So she is open to counseling with just you and her?
She says she is.
I'm about to set up with counseling with her. The other thing, though, my part is I want to recover the relationship, and at the same time, I don't feel like I'm ready because of the disrespect so many times. I don't know how she's going to blast off on me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, honey. This is, you know what? I was thinking how wise you were when you were talking. I was like, wow, Veronica, you have a lot of insight. I love that about you already. So trauma is so weird. It's, you know, when something harmful happens to us, painful, we go into fight, flight, or freeze typically. Well, guess where you went when your husband was abusive and cheating? Which one of those did you do? Fight, flight, or freeze?
Flight.
You did. Good for you. You went into flight and you ran. Now, that running interjected an attachment wound on your daughter.
Right.
And that attachment wounds, I think if there's anything that takes more time to heal than any other kind of wound, it's those attachment wounds. Because there's two things that all of us in the first couple years of our lives, the first few years of our lives, there's two questions that we answer. The two questions are this. Number one is, am I lovable and worthy of being loved? Right? Am I beloved? Am I lovable? And two is, can I trust you? Can I count on you? Can I put my full weight down on you? Will you be there when I need you? Well, guess what happened? Right at that time of flight for you, she was answering questions that are life-changing.
Right.
Yeah. And so I want you to pursue what you're doing, but I want you to really slow down and try to really feel like what it would be like to lose both of those, to have someone who doesn't know that she's really loved by you, and two, doesn't know she can put her full weight down on you.
And that's the painful part.
It's pain. I know. It's very painful. So when you think about how she behaves with you, is she in fight, flight, or freeze? Which one of those?
Fight.
So you see how PTSD collides with PTSD, and then it's pretty stinky and hard and blah. It's a lot of goo to have to sort through. But you're going to really need to not do any kind of a cheap sorry. You're going to really have to do a deep dive with her around how devastated she was as an infant that you went away. And that's like, you need to go to the place of, you know, it might, my heart is broken because I hurt you in a place that is so deep that I'm not sure how your heart's going to heal. I want it to heal. I long for it to heal. But man, I ran at a horrible time in your life. And I left you. And you're very wise. When you adopted, it's like all of a sudden this child who already feels unloved and like can't trust you now, it's like you've chosen another young lady. It's not that she's jealous. It's not jealousy. You chose somebody else. So it's like pouring kerosene on it's like, you know, vinegar in a wound. It's like, ow! Can you see that from a different perspective? Because if you call it jealousy, you will miss her. If you even think it's jealousy, you will miss her. It's wound. She's wounded because you chose and didn't choose to stay with her. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I love your bravery and just listening to my words because it's potent. I'm not holding anything back with you, girl, because I really want you to get this.
You know, Veronica, this isn't the time to go tit for tat. I'm not sure you do that, but if somebody's fighting, then sometimes what we'll do is we'll put up our defenses, which isn't a great form of communication, and we'll try to make our points. And this is the time to listen, care, empathize. Sheri gave you deep truth, and it's a wound for you. Obviously, you were wounded. And so it's hard to just take it, but sometimes just say, I feel your pain. I empathize with you. I choose us. There's a Christmas movie that I always cry at where both of them, the man and the woman, say, I choose us. And you want to be able to do that. And it's not about the tit for tat that goes on between you. But I think there's a time to speak and a time to listen. The Bible talks about that. This is probably the time to listen, and it's going to be painful when she's throwing stuff at you. And she's not always going to be right. She's younger and she's, got all of this stuff. But when she sees you saying, I want to understand, and I do. If I was in your shoes, this would be really tough. But we have a life ahead of us. And how can we mend that? So the counseling part isn't to be in a room where you get to go back and forth at each other. It might be in a room for, several times where you just listen. And again, there's things you want to say, and even if you had to take notes, and you'll do it, 3 months from now. But this is the time to hear her pain. Let her get through that stuff, even if it's not right. Everything that she says, and then you begin to rebuild. We have some friends who are rebuilding their house, and they're taking it down to the ground, and now they're going to rebuild, and it's going to be a beautiful house once they get done. But they had to kind of like tear up some stuff. Let her have her moments, and pretend that you are that 2 to 8 year old. And that happened. And again, don't beat yourself up. You have every reason to have some flight in there. I'm not saying that might have been the best, but my goodness, you were getting abused. You do what we have to survive. So as time goes on, you'll need to work through that. But with her, oh my goodness, let her get it all out, and then begin to do the rebuilding.
It's like so
Yeah,
sad.
that's been the hard part.
Yeah, Veronica, the sexual betrayal and the abuse blew up your home, and both you and your daughters were victims of that. And so I love what Jim said. Sometimes that phrase of I've hurt you so deeply. Oh my, I've hurt you so deeply. Well placed, and over again can help her.
One other thing I want to mention is that your heart matters. So it's okay to be at your limit of what you can take and take breaks. And I'm gonna talk just a little bit more about this, but we got to go to a break right now. But Veronica, hold on, and we'll give you a few really good directions.
I'm a mom, 87, of 9 children. How do you relate to me as a mom?
I'm living with my daughter and her significant other. I've done some things that has upset him.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Courageous Parents, Transforming Relationships with Your Adult Sons and Daughters. It's an online workshop Saturday, August the 13th, with Dr. Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and me. I think it will change the way you see your adult children.
You invested 2 decades of your life with your children, and you've got to figure out how do you reparent and reinvent the relationship. It's not easy, but it's possible, and it can be better than ever.
With insightful teaching and the guidance of a credentialed New Life counselor, this one-day online workshop will provide practical advice and hopeful encouragement for navigating the parent-adult-child relationship. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and we're talking with Veronica. And Veronica, as we were talking at the break, something really was highlighted here, and that is something that Sheri had mentioned that you had told her, and that is the damage that was done to your heart, to your well-being, when your husband was abusive and when he was cheating on you. And so it kind of doubles down on this idea that I believe that you need to also care for and be cared for in your heart as you go through this process. Because you're right, as Jim was saying, your daughter's going to say things that are going to be exaggerations, or maybe some things that aren't even true to reality, but maybe feel true to her. And so you're going to have to build the resiliency to hear that. And so the two things I want to tell you is, beyond the anger, look for the hurt. Look for her hurt. Hear her hurt. The other aspect of this is that you hurt and you need cared for too. So we're going to send you a copy of Intimate Deceptions, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal. Because in there, it's more than just a book on sexual betrayal, even though it is primarily that. It also, Sheri does a deep dive into different aspects of trauma and how trauma impacts us, and how we react to it, and how it even has a formation to our lives. And so it gives us a better understanding as we move forward. And Veronica, the last thing I want to say is, as your daughter is interested in doing counseling with you, that is a definitive sign that she wants a relationship with you.
So true, Chris.
So I want you to take heart and take hope in that. Veronica, thank you so much for calling in today. And I want to get to Sheila now in Laguna Niguel, California, listening on our app. Sheila, are you there?
I am here. Hello.
Hi. Talk to me today. What do you have going on?
I guess I'll give you the short version. How's that?
That sounds great.
I've been married for several decades now, and as of late, I'd say in the past 5 years, I found out about the betrayals that had been happening. My husband is a love and sex addict in recovery and is doing wonderful, and we are doing our best to move forward from that and work on restoring our marriage. And every day is a new day, and we just keep trying to move forward together. But my question has to do with my family, as in my siblings.
Okay.
I have a brother and a sister. One of the betrayals that happened was my husband flirting with my sister-in-law, and some other family dynamics in there. And so that really has severed our family as far as when we could get together, when we see each other. And it just is so painful, and so much grieving that happens whenever there's a holiday or family event or but let me go on to what my question is how do I don't want my sister to be in a place where she feels like she's dealing with, for lack of a better word, divorced siblings.
Yeah.
Because we cannot be together at this point.
Because you and your husband and your brother and your sister-in-law cannot be together. Is that true?
Correct.
And so you don't want your sister to feel like she's going through divorced siblings.
Yes, that is what we have going on, to where, oh, well, you can't be here today because, they're already coming for the day, or, oh, what time are you leaving because they're about to come. And And there's just this panic where you can't even, I have a hard time just relaxing and enjoying on good moments, because it's like, oh, are they going to be coming soon? It's just this state of alertness.
Absolutely.
To protect.
Well, let us jump in here, because we're coming up a little bit closer to the end of the show. First and foremost, I hate to say this. This is not a fun thing to say. But when there are boundary and value crossing behaviors, there is a collateral damage. And that's and though people don't deserve it, they do have to deal with it. And so this does have consequences, and I know we want to try to mitigate that, but when you talk about it being panic, it's that you're trying to control the uncontrollable. You're trying to mitigate what other people have to work through. This didn't happen to your sister, and she's heartbroken by it and all the things that happen as a result of it. And this is not from a callous place. This is from a real place, but she's going to have to do her work to work through that and speak her voice into it and what she wants.
Sheila, I'm heartbroken over the collateral damage. You said that well. Kind of like Veronica, we were talking about there's multiple parties. The sexual betrayal just devastates so many layers of our homes. Do your siblings know what happened in the acting out with your husband?
They know part of it. They don't know the whole truth. And what they are led to believe is her version, which is she's extremely innocent in all of it. But the truth is that she's not. We've already gone through a full therapeutic disclosure. We know, I know a lot of the truth.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
And
Jim, you talk a lot to siblings. I mean, your books are on, families, and I just want to get your thought before I share more.
I love that you said you're going through recovery. You're trying to make this happen. That's incredible, because a lot of people don't get there even in their own marriage. But know that recovery is a process, that you're going through it in a different pace, at a different pace than your sister. And with that, it may take longer, for some of this to happen. And when they say collateral damage, I had written the word consequences. There's consequences sometimes to our poor decisions, and sometimes that's a forever consequence, and sometimes it's not a forever consequence. I think as they see you getting more and more healthy and whatnot, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel, but it may take longer, because they're not living with this every day like you are, and in a really good way, you're doing the work. So I would only encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, and keep leaning into it, but you're not responsible for how they react to this.
Is your sister married?
She is.
So just think for a second, Sheila, what if the same event, with all the details you now know, had happened to your sister, and your sister and her husband were reeling from the pain, but really trying to figure out how to be safe with what happened, right? How might you support her? If this happened to her, what do you think she'd need?
I would think to know that I was safe, to know that I love her and I care about her.
Those are huge things.
Yeah.
Those are huge things. And you're doing a great job. Just know it's going to take time, and continue to love and support her, but be honest about what you need.
Absolutely. And as Jim was saying, and Sheri, stay in your work. Everyone, stay in your work. And as Christ is our guide and our leader, he will work us to the other side of healing and
Thanks
hope.
for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.